I'm just picturing the weirdest American Pie reboot right now. It's like, before graduation, we are all going to hit level 12.
Nerd On.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to Nerd On, the podcast you didn't need but deserve, where all levels of nerd are welcome, including ones that have something to do with Family Guy.
Wow, way to lead the question.
I know. I want to get straight to the point today just because we're going to be covering a lot of topics today. We have a special guest with us today. This is Dan Peck.
Hello.
And I guess we should also probably say who the hosts are.
Maybe.
Nah, this is my show now.
Oh, well.
Welcome to Dan On.
Dan On.
Dan on for all of your Dan needs of any level.
Oh, my God.
I like it.
Amazing. I am Caitlin.
Ollie.
I am Tom.
And I'm Josh. And this episode is brought to you in part by our patrons over at Patreon.
I love that.
You guys allow us to just keep on going, keep on growing, and to just be the best that we can be. If you are new to Patreon is essentially a membership service that you can subscribe to Nerd On, where you get all sorts of juicy bits like bonus episodes, early access to episodes, Discord server, early access to merch. There's a lot of good stuff that's going on over there.
Juicy bits in there.
Juicy
Check it out.
Juicy bits.
Another piece of housekeeping, Corey is not going to be in this episode. Again, due to some family stuff, but again, he is not dead. He will be back.
He's on a plane with John Candy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
We are holding it down here at Nerd On HQ.
So he's going to be 2 weeks.
Yes.
Show must go on.
Yes, the show must go on.
But as we spoke before, Family Guy is reaching a 20.
Yeah, last week was
Last week?
Last week
Yeah.
was
oh my
its
gosh.
20th.
So it's
1999.
a little momentous that we have someone who's part of the family. Of the
Guy.
Family Guy.
He's a guy.
I
guy
am
family.
a Family Guy guy.
Yes.
Yeah.
But we will also be talking about RPGs.
Mm-hmm.
Where all levels of nerd are welcome. Those who like Family Guy and those who like RPGs and those who like both.
We're just mixing. We're just mixing all of it.
It's a big old melting pot of nerddom.
So, Dan, if you can indulge us or some of the uninitiated, who are you? What do you do? How did we get you? I love your shirt. It's a NASA nerd shirt.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. So
I wish I could take credit for the design of this one, but I'm just simply a merchant. No, I purchased it. I'm not a merchant. I purchased it and I wear it around, and people at Target tell me they like it. So
you're a
that's cool.
promoter of it.
Nice.
So what do you do?
I am a writer's assistant on Family Guy. What that means is my job is I sit in the writer's room with our staff, and I have two other writer's assistants because we have a very large staff, and often we split into smaller groups. And I'm essentially the helmsman. I sit at the keyboard, I sit at the mouse, and I am the court stenographer of the insane asylum.
Oh my
It's
God.
So they say write that down, and you're
All
like,
the- all
yep.
the
they don't even say
shortcuts.
write that down. It's just like aside, like I don't get like every like side conversation, but like when the jokes are flying, it's my job to transcribe it onto the screen.
Okay.
Wow.
And yeah, plus, I get to do like super fun other things like proofreading the script and saying, oh, we actually did that episode 14 years ago, or, stuff like that, real buzzkill, real momentum killer.
Wow.
I'm just a big drag. No, it's great. I love it. Just, being in the writer's room of Family Guy is no joke, high school me's dream come true. That wasn't really proper grammar, but we're gonna go with it anyway.
I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
High school me,
Yeah.
The show
High
debuted.
school me's.
Yeah, the show debuted 20
Professional
years ago.
writer, Dan Peck.
And
But you do have credit as a writer
Yes.
on one of the episodes.
Yes,
so.
I wrote an episode aired a couple years ago called
Bookie of the
Year. And I've actually written another one, which is in very early stage of production right now, and that'll be. Yeah, thanks, Caitlin.
That we can say.
We can say. Yeah, and that won't be on for another year and change because our animation turnaround is around 14 months from beginning
Really?
to end. Yeah,
Oh, wow.
yeah,
I did not know that.
yeah. This is not 7 days like South Park.
Yeah, I was
like,
gonna say
it's
unrealistic expectations.
yeah. It's a great process. We have over 100 people just working on our show and American Dad's offices, right across the way. And just, some of these people have been around since day one. And,
Wow.
we are a well-oiled machine. It's like,
Awesome.
there's no resting on your laurels, even at the 20-year mark. And it's just a pleasure to go every day because, no matter what's going on in my life, I get to say to myself, I think I'll go to Family Guy today. It's just,
Yeah.
That's so cool.
it's just a dream.
And how long have you been on it now?
I've been there just shy of 7 years. I was on the spin-off, The Cleveland Show, beforehand. And there was actually 1 year I was working on both shows because of the long production schedule. I was basically finishing out the remainder episodes of The Cleveland Show while still working on Family Guy. That was a very busy year.
I can only imagine.
But so I've been in the McFarlane verse, for lack of a better term, because I guess we couldn't call it the McFarlane Cinematic Universe because MCU is already taken.
Oh my God.
You just say MCEU.
I was going to say
Extended.
the NICU.
But yeah, so I've been there for over 10 years now.
Wow.
But you also do things outside of.
Nope, that's it. I
okay.
just live and
Oh.
play.
All I
No.
do.
Interesting.
No, any tabletop, any things that you get involved
You
in?
have
Feels
podcasts,
kinda
you've got
relevant
things like
to
that.
RPGs.
I've got so many things. So my biggest ongoing project is that I am a cast member on a live stream for Starfinder. It's through Saving Throw, but this season, because we just came back for season 2, we are sponsored by and are now streaming on the official Paizo channel Tuesday nights, twitch.tv/official Paizo. And Paizo, of course, is the publisher of Pathfinder and Starfinder, and they've been
Nice.
incredibly supportive. And it's just, great to be back. We're on, like I said, we're on our second season.
So cool.
As I said in
Nice.
the first episode this year, we now have more seasons than Firefly.
Yeah. Oh,
my
good job.
It's a deep cut.
Good job. Shout out to Joss.
Yeah.
Oh.
But on that
My
show,
heart hurts.
I know, mine too. Mine too. But on that show, because the game is both a sci-fi and fantasy setting combined into one, which is why I really love it. I play an android named Twill, who is a former pro gamer who got bored of basically fake adventures online, and they decided to hop on the first ship out of there and just landed themselves in the middle of basically a Les
war.
Mis like revolution and
Yeah.
lost. So
Oh.
Oh wow.
now
Fuck yeah.
they're on the run.
Oh, dang.
And then you're also doing Doctor Who.
Yes. By the time this episode airs, we'll have 2 episodes of the game of Rassilon available on all podcasts.
Wherever podcasts can be heard.
Yeah, exactly. Put it in your ears and let your brain digest it.
Nice.
True.
I like that.
Yeah, so it's a Doctor Who role-playing game, live play, and that's the game published by Cubicle 7. And we've now aired 2 episodes in which I play Travis, a human companion of the Doctor from the year 1998, who was suddenly displaced from his job as a librarian and found himself in a world greater than he ever hoped for.
I always
And
love Doctor
and
Who, like anything and everything. So
Yeah.
I'm invested.
Is this perhaps the 98 version of yourself?
no, this is the first Travis, but we are keeping what number of the Doctor it is vague, and we're just referring to her as our Doctor,
Okay.
to avoid any
Yeah.
future
continuity
canon
things, yeah.
issues.
Yeah.
Yeah.
because there are so many of them.
Oh yeah. But the game of Rassilon actually started as a live event that our GM Ben Padden was
Shout out.
running at Gallifrey 1, which is coming up very shortly. It's the biggest Doctor Who convention, I think, in all of North America. And we did 2 years of doing live shows where everyone who was participating had to draw up 2 character sheets, a doctor and a companion. And live in front of the audience, we rolled a 4-sided die to determine right then and there who was playing the Doctor.
Oh, wow.
So the first year I was the Doctor. I ended up playing the
Nice.
12th Doctor. And yeah, this year we're going to be doing it again with our full Game of Rassilon cast. But we're going to be sticking to our live show format of where we're going to have character. companion from the show and doctor from the show, and we will determine that it'll be outside of our show's
Canon, yeah. This will
Nice.
be like an event.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Nice.
So how did we get you on the show, and how did that
How
happen?
did we meet? Is
How-
what he's trying to ask.
How did that happen?
How did this
I
come
met-
to be?
The three gentlemen in this room. Oh, it feels like ages ago.
Wow.
I know.
Tell the story.
I walked into Nerd on HQ and they said, sit here. And they put a microphone in my face. But I have known Caitlin for quite a few years.
There it is.
Yeah. There's the real reason.
Thank you.
She wants the credit right now.
Of course. Through a mutual friend. Hi, Chris. And
Hello.
And we just, what can I say? We're besties.
Sometimes you meet people and you're like, I'm going to be friends with that person. And that is what happened.
Was this like 2 days ago?
No, this was how many years
3
ago
years
now?
ago now, I think.
3 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was the
We-
venue? Draw me the landscape. Give me
Oh
the
my-
campaign.
Dan, help.
It was our friend's birthday party.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay.
Yeah. And then you had some life events going on, and I was around for some of those life events. And then I saw you at Gallifrey 1 last year because
Yes.
I was working there for a corset vendor.
Oh.
And yeah, we've just
She wouldn't let
kind
me
of,
try on any of the corsets.
But they have some good hats sometimes.
he just wanted to leave with it. So that was part of the why
Oh.
I couldn't,
That's stealing.
How much
Dan.
are these corsets?
Wear this out.
Huh?
How much are some of these corsets?
Oh lordy, they're like around 200.
Well, that's why I want to leave with them too.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they're beautiful. So
And they
had-
made my waistline look fantastic.
yes, anyone who wears them looks fantastic. But yeah, so we just he's showed me. I got to sit on a table reading once
Yes.
at for Family Guy things.
Yeah, we love having people come to the table reads because we get real
read.
feedback from our audience because, for the most part, it's the crew, gathered into the
The
conference
same
room.
people.
Yeah, but
hearing
it's always
the
great
same
to
jokes.
get fresh laugh. No, it's hopefully new jokes, but yeah.
Not from 14 years ago.
Yeah.
Right.
Callbacks, they're called.
When you know each other's humor well enough, though, you don't respond in the same way. Like
Yeah.
as a fresh set of ears.
Yeah. So basically, the laziest way I impress people is by inviting them to table reads.
Ah.
Well, I was impressed
Yes, it worked.
both with that and with your friendship because you are a nice person.
Thank you, as are you. And I'm sure I will grow to know and love everyone else on this podcast
Hopefully.
by the end of this episode.
I've been known to be the grandpa.
The
sometimes.
grandpa.
The grandpa. The old man.
Grandpa
grumpy
Tom.
one. And then I'm going to ask, where, so you're pretty active on the Twitter. You're pretty active in the nerd cultures. Where did we had an episode of talking about where our nerd tree started. Where did yours?
Oh God, my origin story.
Yes. Good old fashioned origin story.
Yeah. I mean,
this is the like character sheet aspect.
Joseph Campbell's
You gotta
hero's journey.
totally.
Show us the very first one.
yeah. I mean, it was a very young age. It was just I immediately latched onto Spider-Man at just like such a young
You just
age.
made Tom so happy. He's got a Venom shirt on.
Yeah. Just I mean, God, it was just like it wasn't everything, but I feel like I feel like between Spider-Man and the original NES is where my nerddom sprung from. I have a very quick story. When the NES was making its debut in North America, they were having mall tours to like showcase it, to be like, oh, this is something you should buy. And I'm originally from the East Coast, and one of the players on the New York Mets was going to be at the mall to show off Nintendo baseball. And so my dad, who didn't care about video games, but cared deeply about the Mets, dressed a 3-year-old head to toe little Dan in Mets apparel. We went to the event, and my dad put me on his shoulder so I could see. And then they handed the microphone to Mookie Wilson, who was the player, and they said, "All right, we're gonna get one lucky kid up here to play Nintendo baseball against Mookie Wilson." And Mookie sees me in head to toe Mets gear. He's like,
course.
"Let's get that kid up here." So I blame Mookie Wilson for my video game addiction.
Nice.
Dang.
Mr. Wilson and your dad.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, I can blame my dad for plenty of stuff. But Mookie Wilson can only take the blame for my video game addiction. But that was my calling, I think. That was
Nice.
That was the true origin story.
That's quite the origin story.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Dang.
So
I'd
Spider-Man
say.
and Nintendo. Do you have a preference of which Spider-Man?
I mean, original flavor. What do you?
I mean, cinematically on the live stream.
Cinematically,
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh, no.
Yes.
I see where we're going.
Yes.
No.
I have to, I have to, I
Tom's
have to
got the,
ask.
like,
Now that it came up, I
The
have to
finger
ask.
steeple.
I mean, for live action, I mean, you got to go Tom Holland now. He's just killing it. It's just
From the
Nice.
from the prior two, Garfield or Maguire.
I have to go Maguire
Okay.
because
He's so happy right now.
good. I'm glad.
we have an episode, one of our original episodes. Shout out to Nerd On. It was called #NotMySpider-Man, and it was
We just
this,
hashed out. We just talked about the
So now he asks this, and it's very loaded.
the fact that you like Spider-Man. I'm like,
I will say The Amazing Spider-Man 2 is not only the only Marvel movie that I didn't see opening weekend, I didn't see it in the theater.
wow.
Wow.
That's all I'm going to say about
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
That's all I'm gonna say.
Like,
In
I'm not gonna
association
get on
with
this path.
Marvel. In association with.
So, okay, so you had mentioned, since you work with Family Guy, you were saying that your high school you is like, oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
So your fandom of what you work on started
In high
back
school.
in high school.
Yeah, 20 years ago.
Yeah, watching Family Guy then. So now bringing it back to an adult, how did you get started into the Family Guy universe?
What was the path that led you
McFarlane
there?
universe?
It was a long path, to be perfectly honest. I went to college for television production because I knew I wanted to be in the television industry. After I graduated, I moved to LA a month later from the East Coast.
Whoa.
Like, it was just like, I knew I was doing this. I had already
Yeah.
spent a semester in LA because my school had a program with that.
Oh, that's nice.
Got out here and said yes to every television job that was offered to me. And my very first TV job was on a reality show that got canceled after its first episode. And
Yeah.
it was
That good, huh?
Please tell me about it.
Okay.
Because if it was canceled after one episode, it had to have been
Okay.
pure gold.
So it was called The Will. It was
I'm already hooked.
Oh,
It was about a group of family members who were competing for $1 million cattle ranch that their patriarch of their family would leave to them when he dies.
what?
Yeah.
It was
Okay.
19-hour days in, blistering heat. It was also like really close to a wildfire when it was happening, which
Oh,
is
no.
a perfect metaphor.
Oh, no.
But
Fire's coming.
I do. Okay, this is my defining Hollywood story, and I've told this before. And if I ever write my book, this will be chapter 1. So this is a
Yes.
little preview of the audiobook of my
wow,
own.
okay.
wow. Nice.
So I was so as reality shows film 24 hours a day. It's like just part of the nature. It's just, stuff is happening at all hours. So I was working an overnight shift and we're filming at this mansion, and the crew was not allowed to use the bathrooms in the mansion. There was essentially a porta potty trailer. And so one of the people I worked for said, hey, the toilet in the men's room is clogged.
Oh, no.
And these were not real toilets. So he said,
There's a hole.
well, for more or less. So he said,
For lack of a better word.
yeah, he told me, go out back and grab the shit stick and fix the toilet. Oh, and it's dark back there, so don't grab the wrong end. So,
no.
yeah, honest to God, here's what I did. I found a pair of gloves. I found as much light as I could. I found the shit stick. I grabbed the correct end and I did
God.
my job the whole time thinking it'll never get worse than this. And it's true. It never got worse than that moment. It was like, if I could get through this, then no matter what else is thrown at me, I think I'll be ready.
Yeah.
So I
Ever
worked on
since
that.
then.
Yeah, ever since
Ever
then. Like,
since then, it's been an up and up.
This is the gauntlet. for
yeah.
you.
And it's like, I bounced from show to show for years, shows that never made it past the pilot, shows that only ran, 6 episodes here, 13 episodes there. And it was just a matter of just put my work ethic out there, put my name out there. And I was working on a show at Fox that unfortunately got canceled, but I made a lot of friends while I was working there who worked for the studio. So when the Cleveland show was staffing up, they knew that I wanted to go into animation. So they said, hey, we're going to throw your resume and the rest is history.
Nice.
That's awesome.
Dang.
Very cool.
Thank
That
you.
is awesome.
That's
miss-
really
I miss
like
Cleveland show.
the LA story that you want to hear of like you really busted ass and came out, from somewhere else, came here and then like made it work.
Yeah.
Yeah. It
And-
takes time.
Yeah.
Mhm.
How long were you out here before like Cleveland Show Family Guy happened?
That was about 4 years.
4 years.
Yeah, so I was just like honestly, I would just have my cell phone set to ring as loud as possible because sometimes I get a call 6 a.m. say, "Hey, can you be at this show in an hour because we got your resume?" I'm like, "Okay." So
Wow.
Wow.
Dedication. It really does take that.
Well, it's like you got to be committed to the work, so when the door actually opens up, you can actually answer the call.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's really it's the telltale.
Oh, telltale.
Speaking of the episode that you worked on, Bookie of the Year, there's a lot of things that in there to notice, but also it's like how do you go about like tackling a music number and then an A plot and a B plot, but also like there's a lot of references with culture and then noticing things in the background like, oh look, there's like superhero stuff. So I mean I know there's like animation design stuff, but it's like how does that go all into that play?
well, I mean, TV writing is a team sport, which is kind of really why I like it. I mean, I have nothing but respect for people who can sit in a room and write a feature length script. I mean, that's like there's no more daunting task. So when you have a staff of writers, especially one as large as we have, because with the animation process taking as long as it does, we essentially have 35 episodes in production at various stages of animation at all times.
Nice.
So that's why we have such a large staff. It's because like a group can be working on one episode while another group is working on another episode and so on and so forth. So when an idea for an episode is originally pitched, and the stories in my episode were not ones that I had pitched, I was just assigned, but I did like them and I tried to make them my own. We spend as much time as we need figuring out what are the story beats and do they work. I mean, we've gotten to the point where we'll have spent 3 days discussing the story and we're just like, we can't crack this nut. And you have to kind of, salvage what you can, but you kind of move on. And so what we do whenever we have a new episode is we think, what is the A story? And we have big dry erase boards in the writer's room and, have it act 1, act 2, act 3. The acts are separated by commercial breaks for the layman's listening.
Shout out to the layman's.
Yeah. What's up, layman's? But yeah, so we really just go like, what are all the story beats for act 1? What are the story beats for act 2? What for act 3? And we tweak it, we work it, or see what works, what doesn't work, until ultimately we have both the A story and the B story laid out. And then the writer of the episode will then take 2 days and write an outline, which is, paragraph or 2 for each scene of the episode. And then that's turned in and the executive producers will give story notes in case something's just not working. It's one of the best times to catch if there's any glaring plot holes or anything like that, because once it's written or animated, it's a lot harder
To fix.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So we put a lot of work into
Preparation.
exactly on the front end where
Yeah, because
change
once
is
it's
easier.
animated, like getting it reanimated is not going to be.
Well, you can't just go erase it. And
Oh
do
yeah,
something?
no, just hit the
Wow.
animate button and it fixes itself.
Yeah.
Can't put like a filter on it.
If only.
Wow.
Can't use Photoshop.
He's over there like, no. No, you
He's so
cannot.
quiet.
If you were
like,
across from me, I would slap you.
No.
Well, I mean, to be fair, I really the artists on our show are magnificent,
Of
and I
course.
don't know a thing that they do because they are just on a higher level than I am. So shout out to everyone who's listening.
Yeah, shout out to artists.
Well, it's like all the framework that goes into it too. So it's like once something changes, like now all that's gone.
Yeah.
And it's like you take out whole days and weeks to just fix one word or one
Context for like following scenes and
With with your specific episodes that you have written yourself, was it like we're gonna give you a bone, or was it like it was kind of like your time, like you got to? How does that work to go from writer's assistant to like, oh, here we're gonna give you this
Writer.
assignment?
Um,
Because I mean, I've been like, because I'm a freelance audio engineer, and so okay, kid, you can be a second engineer or an assistant engineer, and it's like there comes a. I'm just curious about like in your world, like how that kind of works.
Sure. I mean, like a lot of, free time when I had it was dedicated to writing spec scripts so that people could read how I write and,
Yeah.
both original stuff and also taking episodes of shows that are on the air and writing your own script of it so you can show people, oh, I can not only write in my voice, but if I were to be working on another show, I could write in the show's voice.
Yeah.
On top of that, I work with very supportive writers, and this isn't true at every show, and it's, I don't take it for granted in the least, but every so often I would pitch a joke. Not everything, in fact, mostly everything doesn't go in an episode, but it kind of like they let me play in the
That's
grown-up
fun.
pool sometimes.
I'm at the
And-
big kids table.
Yeah, exactly. And so, yeah, it definitely felt incredibly rewarding and humbling. The first time they told me I was getting one of the freelance scripts, and I don't know if I slept for like 6 months, both out of excitement and anxiety.
Yeah.
Excitedy? Is that a new term that I just
Yeah,
It is now.
yes.
It
Okay,
is now.
I
think so.
experienced that basically 24/7.
Excitement.
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 Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
that's good. That's
Oh,
good.
let's put excitement in the zeitgeist. That's hard to say.
It's a good one.
Oh my God.
But yeah, so it's nothing I could ever set my watch to, but I knew it was an opportunity, and I was not going to squander that under any circumstance.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's like, this is it. This is it. Little Dan.
Oh yeah.
Past Dan is like, do it.
Oh yeah.
Speaking of, recently you're on Twitter every once in a while, and you mentioned how the younger version of yourself and the adult version of yourself are coalescing as you're watching or waiting for Rent on TV. What was the final verdict of this showing?
I haven't watched it yet. Let's
Okay.
put it that way.
All right.
Um,
What's your excitement with it? You had some experience of being as a kid.
Oh, I was a full-on Rent head. I was like, I was in 9th grade when that show like first started becoming a thing, and I only lived 45 minutes from New York City, so I actually got to see it twice with the original cast, except I
Nice.
never saw Idina
Wow.
Menzel.
That's dope.
Both times she wasn't there.
Oh, sad.
And I was a full-on theater kid, so all of my friends, we were just like, I could still probably, if I needed to, like from start to finish, do the entirety of the show if I needed to. So
nice.
I just haven't watched it yet. Let's call it that.
So you're excited for all these like now on stage performances going to like live television performances?
It's kind of a mixed feeling. Like there's kind of like nothing like sitting in the audience of a show.
Yeah.
And there's a little bit of a disconnect, I think, when you watch it on TV, even with the best production.
Yeah.
Like last year, NBC did Jesus Christ Superstar, and I've seen that show a trillion times, and it was great, but I was very aware I was on my couch watching it and not in
Yeah.
the theater.
Yeah,
And
you're
Well,
not. You're having an
They're
organic.
also
Very different.
producing it like pretty heavily after the fact,
Yeah.
right? So, and with Rent, they're doing that again, like a 48-hour turnaround or something. Like,
Well, it wasn't live because the actor playing Roger broke his foot.
Yeah.
oh,
In
Yeah, so it was
between
the day
final
after
dress
or something
rehearsal
like that.
and the live airing, and they don't have understudies for the live shows, so they had to use some of the pre-filmed, this is for dress rehearsal footage to work around that.
wow.
People were a little miffed about that.
I can
Yeah.
imagine.
Yeah,
say the
Twitter nailed it best when they said that the cast came out at the start of the show with an intro explaining what was happening, and they said, unfortunately, it's not going to be live entirely. And then they ended it by saying the show's tagline, "No day but today." And Twitter pointed out, well, there is another day besides today. So, not my joke, but man, that sometimes the internet gets it right, and they got that. They got that spot on.
No kidding. Jeez.
There is nothing about being in the. I just saw this past last week. I saw Wicked for the first time, and I went to theater school for college, and it's these like live performances live
On
Put
TV.
that on
Quotes,
TV.
quotes.
It's quotes. That there is nothing that can take away from the live theater experience. It's just and just as an actor myself of like being in that live experience, like you just never know what's going to happen. It's like wondering what's going on.
What
like,
reactions you're gonna get?
Yeah.
What's the tempo and the volume? Yeah.
the audiences are different, so I'm wondering like how the actors feel about that kind of thing, because you don't have. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if there's like an in studio audience, but they don't have the world audience of like, what are we getting? What kind of
Yeah.
energy are we getting from that? So
Yeah.
it's interesting.
I can't even imagine like being a post-production person on that.
Yeah.
Especially for Rent, because Rent is like a little bit longer than it's got a little more going on than Jesus Christ Superstar.
Yeah.
So
in a bit.
and
Depends on how you design it and whatnot. Yeah.
True, but having the weight of like having to mix everything correctly
Yeah.
after the fact, I would think would be very
And to have such
harrowing.
a well-known title that's coming to the little screens.
Yeah.
So you got nerdy things coming out of you everywhere. Theater stuff, games.
I do like being a Renaissance nerd, but it is just overwhelming because I just need to just relax sometimes.
Yeah. It's hard to be cultured in everything. But does it, knowing and having all those things, having, I would call like a richer childhood or upbringing, help with, the day-to-day of writing?
Oh, absolutely.
Like, does it help you with, like, does it make better references for you? Or are you just like, oh, we could throw this little nugget in there? Or
It just gives me more to pull from. It's like, it's less, a lot of times, and this, this is not just because I work there and I'm defending it. A lot of times people, will accuse Family Guy of having random humor, but like I can assure you, it is very finely honed randomness. Because a lot of times, a gag room will be sent out just to, pitch on a joke to end a scene with just a setup for something that could happen. But all of the jokes that come from that are from that setup. So it's not just like throwing darts at
completely random.
Yeah, exactly.
Not a purpose still.
But it's great because so many of the writers, like they all come from different walks of life and different backgrounds, and every person's personal experience and areas of expertise, whether nerdy or otherwise, help contribute to what is perceived as the randomness, because we can pull jokes from anywhere and everything.
And I think that was a really big revolutionary thing when it first came out, was like, it was just the jokes per second. It was so fast, and all the action, as well as like the sounds of punching and all the craziness. I actually have a lot of friends who are like, I have to watch this movie or I have to watch the show. They're like, why? And I was like, because I don't understand this reference in Family Guy. And I was like, well, good. Go watch the thing. Because and it's funny because it's like, it's like, it's fart jokes, it's penis jokes, but it's like, some people say that's lowbrow comedy, but there's a lot of things that it's just like, oh, that's pretty highbrow. It's like, that's actually a really interesting topic that they talked about. It's like, that's a pretty political thing around the world right now.
Yeah.
So it's like, man, there's a lot of stuff that and the thing I love about it, it doesn't wait for you. It doesn't have to reiterate it. It's like, you got it or you don't got it. And it just moves on to the next one.
Well, and that's an interesting thing to say too, where it's like, oh, that's a really, politically relevant thing right now, when one episode is, you said 14 months in advance. So like, how?
Well, we try to keep it.
So how?
We try to keep it at. This is going to be the weirdest saying I may have ever said in my life. We try to keep it as broadly specific as possible.
Yep, I got that 100%.
That makes sense.
So the episode that aired a couple of weeks ago was Peter gets hired by the Trump White House to, basically work for him, and
They fight.
Yeah, and we knew at the beginning of like the breaking of that story, we're not going to be the first ones to make these jokes. So part of it was leaving room for last minute changes for things, but at the same time, look for new angles for jokes that will hopefully still be fresh by the time the episode airs. And we really lucked out with a lot of it, because when we initially wrote it, there were some more topical jokes in it, but by the time Patrick Megan, who was the writer of the episode, wrote the first draft and we actually read it at the table read, like, unfortunately, because the news cycle was so rapid, like, people we referenced weren't even working there anymore. So we had to do a lot of like last minute,
hilarious,
like changing,
like Scaramucci or something.
Putting Sarah Huckabee Sanders in it in place of what's his face?
Oh,
Right.
Yeah.
I can't.
Diane or something like that.
Yeah. But so we left room for changes like that to be made. And one of the last minute ones, and our showrunners actually talked to one of the media outlets, that may have been Entertainment Weekly, about it. But there was a joke about Roger Stone in it that 2 weeks before that was a Mike Flynn joke that we very last minute, and again, great on all the animators and everyone who works on the show to just tweak the character design.
Scrambling.
And we had someone revoice the lines, but it was like,
Wow.
yeah, it was.
That's what happens.
You got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, I mean, we took a chance, and it I think it paid off.
How fast do those like quote unquote last minute changes happen in? Like to have to fix things. Like I know you guys are a well-oiled machine, but what's the like tightest
Like the
turnaround
moment,
you've
like the
had to
drop
deal
of
with?
like, oh, we have to fix it, and how quick does that turn around?
Yeah.
I don't really have an answer for that just because I don't
Very
usually do that. But we tend to, excuse me, we lock an episode basically a couple, more than a couple weeks. I'd say maybe like a month before the episode airs. So like the orchestra can put the score and the remainder of the audio can be mixed and everything can be polished before air. But not to make it all political, but like when the audio of Trump on the bus with Billy Bush hit the news, we dropped that into an episode that was going to air that Sunday by lifting out a cutaway gag that timed out just about right enough that we could fudge it. And since there was no animation that needed to be done, we just had to get the footage of the bus and the audio cleared. We just had to have Seth MacFarlane record a couple of lines. And so because there was no animation, we were able to do that really quickly. But man, oh man, that was a hectic week at the office.
Oh man.
Wow, that's
I
crazy.
can't imagine.
But that's, I mean, unfortunately, we don't have the luxury of doing that all the time. So when we do, we make sure it's for something that's worth it.
Yeah. And I mean, I think if anyone in office, they're all targets. I mean, like I was watching older episodes. It's like, man, how many Clinton jokes are there?
Yeah.
And then I was thinking about, I was like in mid-season, I was like, yeah, how many Bush jokes were there? Like, there's like no one, wherever, what side of the spectrum you lay
No one
on,
is
like
safe.
whoever that you want, who vote for all that are all under attack. So
Yeah.
I think it was funny because one of the, we're talking about Twitter earlier. One of the tweets that I saw was Family Guy did this for the culture. And then it was like, yeah, it was like every president has been on Family Guy. So I was just like, it's one of these times.
It's not targeted if everyone's the target.
Yeah, I thought it was great.
Equal opportunity.
100%. 100%.
In the writer's room, I can imagine because everything is a target, that sometimes things might get a little heated. Have there been times like that?
That you
There-
can share.
There
That you're
have-
allowed to share? 'Cause-
Yeah, there have, but it's almost always civil, like
Yeah.
to an extent. Like, yeah, not everyone's going to see eye to eye, but we do try to keep taste, in mind when things are like that. And so we don't have too many conflicts, like people screaming at each other over ideology. It's,
I would imagine.
yeah. I mean, it's still a
Also,
professional
if the
environment.
show's been running for 20 years, I think most of the issues are probably hashed out by now.
Well, the funny thing is, like, I think there's a lot of things you guys get right in terms of like the flaws of whatever it may be, so that you can make fun of it. So it's the flaws of all religions or the flaws of all like types of schools and stuff like that. So it's like, again,
Vague but specific.
exactly. It's the broad specific. So it's really, really good. Smart. Very smart.
Very well done.
Anything else before we get probably into the topic?
Star Wars or Star Trek?
Oh,
Targeted
that is
for
the
you.
forbidden question.
I know.
Okay?
I know.
That is the question that would lead to full scale rioting at Comic-Con. No,
I was like, that's the ideology conversation.
funny enough, I think that the divide between the two factions has settled, and I think it's because we had Twilight as a common enemy at Comic-Con for so many
I
years.
don't think you're wrong.
Oh, I watched every single one.
But we came together because,
To hate that.
well, they were taking our space at Comic-Con, and it just,
It's
it
true.
united. It was like Bill and Ted, the planets aligned and harmony
Yeah.
came about. But I would say personally, I'm way more of a Star Wars person. Just I basically, Yoda is basically my religious belief at
Yes.
this point.
As said on Twitter.
Oh, dang.
Correct
you,
answer.
I did a
You
little
called me
digging.
out. No. No.
Tom knows
just
all.
kidding.
Tom sees all.
Original trilogy, prequel
Yeah.
trilogy, Okay.
Original trilogy. Yeah.
All right.
He's like, how dare you?
I-
How dare you ask this
Sometimes you
question
gotta
of
ask,
me?
but also there's room for.
I worked in the movie theater when episode 1 came out,
Mm.
but I started a week after it opened because I'm smart.
Oh,
Wow.
That's very smart. Like starting at a retail job like after Black Friday. It's like, oh, that's pretty smart.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's pretty good, Dan.
Awesome. So our topic I know that Caitlin said that she wanted to do a little
Yeah.
spiel. Yes.
We normally have like a brief synopsis if it's something like a movie or a game to talk about like, what the topic is.
But
and
this is
our
kind
topic,
of like this is kind of like an RS episode. We've done like music RS, we've done video games RS. It's kind of a broad topic where we're talking about lots of things in this one thing.
You
So-
might have to change it to RS because the RS went out of business.
Oh.
But they
Hey,
live
that
in
means it's
Canada.
up for grabs.
That's true. That's a great point. Yeah.
Get on that
So
trademark,
branding
Josh.
is up for grabs.
All right.
Jeffrey, I'm coming for you.
Yeah.
Nerd or us.
So we're gonna talk about RPGs, and this is specifically to tabletop, since that's kind of Dan's dealie. Hi.
For the
Tom.
uninitiated at home, what does RPG stand for?
RPG stands for role-playing game. And I mean, as human beings, we've been pretending out scenarios for like all of forever.
Oh, I know what role play is.
Oh, Tom,
kind of
that's-
role play.
It's a family
bedroom
show.
is different. But yeah, so the role playing game, when you say RPGs and you're talking about tabletop, generally you think of like Dungeons and Dragons
Or rocket
That's-
propelled grenades.
or rocket propelled grenades. You're right. You're right. Was
Because
that a
of Duke
wicked?
Nukem, that's what I thought it was for a long time. Yeah.
Yeah, not quite. But doing a little history into this, what surprised me was the thing that they brought up was commedia dell'arte.
I can see that.
Because it's stock situations, stock characters, and improvised dialogue. And that is pretty much the whole basis for playing a tabletop game.
Fuck yeah.
But so the history up to now, and this, I'm going to keep this as brief as possible,
2
is
seconds.
that it started with, and I'm done. It started with war games. So in movies, you always see like the generals standing over a thing with little miniatures, and they're moving them around, being like, "Oh, if we come in from the west."
I love that movie.
Started with there, and then it was popularized into an actual like game that they sold to the public, and then slowly but surely, it turned into less about the armies and more about individual heroes. So it like narrowed its vision to individual characters. So before with the war games, you would have a referee to, keep everybody in check with the rules and everything. So that's what the dungeon master is, or the GM, game master.
Shout out to them.
Shout out to them. So for RPGs, you would have your armies, stats, and everything. So with playing for a single character, you have your character sheet. So you roll that at the very beginning of the game, and that's what you base all of your stories off of. So it's your stock character and your situation, and then you go experience it with improvised dialogue. And your game master is the one that's kind of leading you through this. Rather than being a referee, they are your guide throughout the story. And
Sometimes they're the referee.
sometimes they're the referee.
Sometimes.
Sometimes they're still the
They make them choose
referee.
between Star Trek and Star Wars.
Ooh.
Wow.
But yeah, so that got really, really popular, and actually that's how we have our modern RPGs like Final Fantasy and Dragon Quest and all of those games, because they translated it over to computers. But we're sticking to tabletop today.
It's funny when you said like they stick on to specific heroes, and then when you said video games, it literally just shined a light of like how most Japanese war games I've ever played, there's always the hero Nobunaga. And I'm just like, dude, everyone's on this guy's nuts. I don't know why, but I guess that's the RPG thing. There's this one hero. It's like, oh, it's our Hercules. It's like we gotta have him. It's like, all right, we get it. It's our
Yeah.
paladin.
Yeah, it's the commanding force that goes and saves everything.
There's always a Nobunaga. I'm telling you. Any type
always
of Japanese
always.
fantasy.
I know
always-
that name only because
Of
of that
games.
fact.
Telling you.
At the end of the day, it's the hero's journey.
Yeah.
In a
It
sense.
is.
I mean, that's.
I mean,
That's what it
even
is.
for the JRPG, for the Japanese role playing games, like video games, they were, when they turned them into games that you could play, they had to figure out how to take all these character sheets and rolling dice and everything else into pressing a button. You get loot now. Like,
Yeah.
it was a long
RNG-bus.
progression
RNG Jesus.
from paper and pencil to press button and thing happen.
Yeah.
But we're sticking to tabletop, and there are a lot
Tableau.
of different types of role-playing games for tabletop. Because
Intensive, light, medium.
you can do like a single one-off story where you're just going to play for like maybe a couple hours. You have long-standing campaigns. Some people I know have been playing a game for 10 years.
Yeah.
There was a video that I
Wow.
saw of a guy has basically a D&D game that is just still going, and it's been going for years and years and years, and sometimes people call in. It's the same game, it just changes like location or the scenario, but it's the same game.
Yeah.
And it's crazy.
When I was in high school, one of my friends, shout out to Charlie, he listens.
Shout out.
He's also a heroic animist. He watches us on Twitch.
Oh, okay.
Oh, hey.
He literally, since I've known him freshman year of high school, he's like, I can't hang out on Sundays. I'm like, why? He's like, we're playing D&D. And he'd be like ashamed of it at first because he was a fucking nerd and we were in high school and we liked girls and we were like, ah. But then later on when we like just realized like fucking being nerds
When you
awesome.
became enlightened.
Well, it's like being nerds is awesome, and that's gonna like get us our careers and shit. Like by the time we get to college, he's like, nah, I got Sundays. I gotta go kill some dragons. I'm like, okay, you do your thing, bro. But then every once in a while, I'll be like, can you fucking not kill dragons this week? Can you hang out with the bros? And he's like, I gotta go kill some dragons. It's like I gotta
Yeah, bro.
work on my new character.
Dedicated.
For like 10 years, I've known him. He's like Sundays D&D with his family. I'm like, you know what? If it brings a family together,
Oh, it's his family.
it's his fam,
That
and
is
they would
awesome.
like they would like give him drinks and shit like that.
Whoa.
I'm like, that's what's up. You know, my parents would beat the shit out of me if I saw me drinking, but you know,
Wow.
I'm just jealous of a recurring schedule like that. It's like
Sunday, and it's an all day thing. It's like you can't ask him to do shit.
I've
Wow.
sadly never been a part of a game that I got to see the ending. Like,
Yeah.
sadly,
we
I
have
just,
in the smaller campaigns.
in the smaller campaigns, but it's
I
like
guess it's insignificant.
being part of
The
like,
tabletop version, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
I wouldn't call that really. That's light.
Yeah, this light.
Light.
Oh,
It's
it's
like-
like super light.
Yeah.
Super. light.
Regardless, it happened.
It's true. It did happen.
Irregardless.
Irregardless.
No, I've had like in high school, I was a part of like it lasted for a few months, but it never got to like it was ending. It
epic
just
thing.
unfortunately
Disbanded.
disbanded. And then I was part of one
The
a
fellowship
couple of years
has
ago,
fallen.
and that disbanded. And it's like
Yeah.
I never see the end. I want to see the end.
I
That's
don't-
not dissimilar from my experience.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's go through first and all role playing game experience. So Ali, please continue.
Me. It was
It is.
Yes, you,
Wow.
Ollie.
My name is Ollie, and I play RPGs. Hi,
Yes.
Ollie.
and I played, what did we play? It was like the starter pack for D&D.
Nice.
We got together. I became the GM,
Nice.
never
Oh, wow.
not having an ounce of clue of what
Oh.
that meant.
Oh,
So
Oh,
it was
no.
Take all this responsibility.
yeah. They're
There
like,
you go.
here's this book that came in this kit. Take it home and read it all. I'm like,
And memorize it.
and memorize it. And
do I have to?
Right.
That
Wow.
I don't want to
no.
play anymore.
Well,
Dang.
yeah, I went and like I read it or read like most of it or the parts that
I feel
were
like that's when
important.
somebody wants to play tag and they're like, but you get to be it first.
Yeah,
I don't want to be it.
I don't
Well,
want
I'm
to
the
be it.
fastest one, so that's okay.
Watched some YouTube videos but still like struggled through it. We
Well, of
only
course.
met like 2 or 3 times and got nowhere.
Yeah, that sounds
Never made it out of
right.
the tavern. You guys met up at.
yeah. Well, it didn't help that we had some people that I won't say their names
Oh.
that were not taking it like seriously, and not to be like
Shout out to your
not,
bad friends.
not that like you have to be a stick in the mud and like take it super seriously and not have fun, but like there's a degree of like, okay, participate in the role
Dedication,
playing
yeah.
aspects of this, please. You know, and don't just say that I'm gonna hang back here and get high.
You guys go take out the cave. I'm just gonna sit
Unless
back
it's
here.
for a character development like point.
we
It's like,
ended up having to force it in that direction because that's the best we could do, but it wasn't a very pretty. It wasn't the best first experience as a dungeon master, not knowing what to do, and then having someone doing everything wrong to not help you learn it.
Yeah.
Oh
you know.
my god,
But that was an isolated experience. But
And
that
yet-
was it.
that's all. That's
That's
all
my
the
only
experience
experience.
you've had.
Yeah.
Oh.
Aside from like Munchkin, if that counts, or
oh, definitely. That's a good.
Yeah.
It does.
That was a good.
yeah.
intro.
So like,
counts, Josh.
and then I guess I should mention that I also
I did not say anything.
I should mention that I also invented one.
I was
I
gonna
guess
say
that counts.
you developed a game,
Yeah,
my friend.
We developed and mass produced and published a game called Destined Legends.
Dan is like,
You can check it out at destinedlegends.com. Shameless plug. But yeah, it's a card based game, but we called it an RPG in the box. RPG in a box. That was our tagline for it. and you have a party of heroes. You fight creatures, you level up, and then you have to kind of skirmish and you get better weapons, stuff like that. So it was very much an RPG.
He keeps telling us this, but we never get to stream it. So I'm very unhappy.
Cool. Thanks for that, man.
Thanks for that, Ollie.
Douche and douche.
It has opportunities to be better,
Yeah.
but it was fun to work on.
Nice.
It was like a couple years of just getting new ones printed at like the Kinkos and building decks, and then going playing with your friends and being like, "Hey, tell me what's wrong with this. Are you having fun?" So it was cool.
That's awesome.
Pour moi. I think Munchkin first. Munchkin was like my first ever one, but like my first like actual experience of like going in character sheet. Like luckily, you know, I got into it when I was like in like a couple years ago. So it was like I got an app. We had Dropbox. So it was like cool. We could share our files. We could figure all this shit out. But the whole setup took like 4 hours, and I was just like, we haven't even started playing the game yet.
Yeah.
And
like the
I was-
first meeting has to
Preparation
just
is
be
important.
character
And so,
prep.
I mean, so I was.
Not a problem,
this is
but-
my same group of friends from back home, which we would play like a game of Risk. It would take like 8 hours, but we'd get it all done in one day.
Right.
Or we'd play like Quest over Camelot or Shadows over Camelot, or we play any other longer game. And this was like, okay, we're about to get into it. And I was like, I'm about to go into this deeper level of this board game life that I've never gone into.
I get it though.
I was
If you're trying to get people in, you got to hook them in with something exciting.
But I mean, okay.
So that could be a challenge.
Shout out to Charlie. To his defense, he also brought us into like he thought we were gonna start playing at like 6 p.m. We didn't open the box until like 2 a.m.
Oh.
So like we're like getting into it, and like
Wow.
everyone's like, we've been drinking all night, and we're like just literally staying up just for the willpower of like, I want to play. And so when we go into it and we're playing it, and it lasted like the game lasted like maybe 4 hours, but like we spawned in a tavern because you know we're all drunken idiots and shit like that. And then like
Sounds
I was
accurate.
in the sense of like what does roll for perception mean? Why must I roll? And then like we finally get out, and then they're like, and then you know my friend was being the DM, and he was like, and then you hear a howling coming towards you. He's like, go back in the tavern. Go back. And he's like, no, that's not how you play. And I was like,
round.
what do you
Sam,
mean?
it's not base.
I was like, what do you mean that's not how you play? And I got so frustrated. I was like, think logically. I am
Ollie
role-
Oxenfree. Ollie Oxenfree.
I was like,
To your credit though, I feel like, and that's the one thing I picked up was that the DM should adapt to the players. Like I think that was a totally fine move.
oh no. What ended up happening is like, he's like, fine, roll for it. And then he's like, a fog covered everything up. You can't find yourself.
Can't find the
So
tavern
everything
again?
disappeared. And I was like, what the fuck? He's like, the howling gets closer.
There you
I was
go.
like, oh, I was like, I don't like this. And
You're
so
at the mercy of your GM.
fucking, it's like 3 a.m. I'm drunk as shit, and I'm just like, what is happening in my life? And then every moment, my friend who actually played, his name's Gabe. It's like roll for perception. Like, what does this mean? And so like I'm having this panic attack. I was like, what's happening to my character? Is he going crazy? Is there insanity going on?
Roll
So-
for sanity.
for everyone at home who's never played it, it could be quite fun if you just throw yourself into it, especially on like a good night that you like end up playing games and it's something that you want to go into. Like Munchkin's a really good like way to start getting into it. Obviously that's what it's meant for, but RPGs are great.
Yeah.
Dan?
So I only started playing the pen and pencil, or no, that's not right. Pen and pencil, no,
Pen and paper.
pen and paper games about
You
two
all
and a
have
half
chopsticks.
2.5 years ago.
Okay.
I had sort of like reintroduced board game nights amongst my group of friends, and I was like, and like for years people were like, "Oh, do you play Dungeons and Dragons?" And I was like, "No, it's like kind of that nerdy line I dare not cross." They're like, "You're such a nerd. You're a
feel
former
you.
theater
Yeah.
kid. It's like it couldn't be
Right
like
up
a
your
better
alley.
overlap." Yeah.
Yeah, that was kind of my thing for whatever reason.
Yeah.
So I know.
But like I started reading like about it, and I hate to use this term, but I love it. But I was definitely die curious.
Oh.
Hashtag.
That's perfect.
Wow.
And then so I had reached out to some friends, and a friend of theirs was basically a professional DM and did like a small game that it was chaos, but I understood what was going on. And so from there, I kind of like the ball kept rolling, and it was just a deep dive, like nonstop ever since
I
then.
need some more.
Yeah,
some
exactly. To the point where I don't have an ongoing D&D game because that fell apart because apparently that's just what happens.
It's
But
the way of the
50%
world,
all,
it
Yeah.
seems.
50% of all D&D marriages end in
Oh,
divorce.
wow.
but I have my 2 games that are being broadcast. But then on top of that, I'm also running a homebrew campaign of Starfinder,
Nice.
which we've actually been meeting about once a month since the game came out in August of 2017. So it's still,
Oh, wow.
yeah, I think we're going to have our 16th session soon. And it's great because I am just throwing everything at my players because
Nice.
it's sci-fi and fantasy, and
Yeah.
this is just I have opened Pandora's box to the inner workings of my brain.
Nice.
Oh,
And
man.
if you have any interest in hearing about that, because I won't go into it, I guested on another podcast that specifically talks about Starfinder called Cosmic Crit, and I've been a guest twice. So if you want to hear about my ongoing campaign, you can listen there. But I've also been trying to trick my friends who don't play role-playing games into playing it. So I've got a group of local friends who I've been running Monster of the Week for them because I could sell it a lot easier than
Yeah.
D&D, where it's like, okay, you guys are all going to be high schoolers in the late 90s, and it's like Buffy and Scooby-Doo
Yeah,
and
it's how you package it, yeah.
Supernatural. So like for my birthday this year, that all I wanted to do was like play part 2 of a 3-part campaign that I had worked up. So he did that, and it was great.
Nice.
And then additionally, I last year around Christmas, I went back east to visit my friends, and I said, guys, I want to run Dungeons and Dragons for you. None of them had ever played, and they were all terrified. I'm like, no. I promise you we're going to have fun. Like, I don't know if you're going to like the game, but we're going to have fun. So we I made characters with and for everyone, just did the starter box, and we played, and it was great. And I jokingly said at the end of the session, all right, we'll pick this up same time next year. And we did this year.
Nice.
Yes.
Oh wow.
And granted, they had completely forgotten who they were, like
What
even
they
their
were
character
doing,
names.
yeah.
But then once we started going, they're like, "Oh yeah, I remember this." So now we have, I guess it's an annual tradition at
That's
this point.
awesome.
This will be the game that goes on forever.
Oh yeah, they leveled up to level 2 near the end of that session.
Nice.
Wow.
So they're not even out of the starter town yet.
That's awesome, though.
But yeah, I got him. I got you guys.
Nerds win
You're
again.
over there going, excellent. The plan is working.
Well, it also helped that like I bought them each dice sets, and like I actually painted
Yeah,
minis.
you did, yeah.
I painted minis for them
Buttered
this
them up
year
a
because I knew
little
what their
bit.
characters were. So
I
Oh,
custom
man.
configured. I custom made minis for my friends too.
Wow.
Nice.
Fucking nerds.
My real friends, not you guys.
Fucking nerds.
Joshy Josh.
So when it comes to pencil and paper RPGs, my first foray was D&D in like junior high school.
Nerd.
I know. And
You
I was a
weren't cool.
choir boy.
yeah, you
and I
weren't
was
cool
theater.
with theater. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was a theater kid. Yeah.
You had no hope.
Cool is oozing out of you.
I was going home from high school and playing Final Fantasy on my place. Anyway.
Wow.
Okay, so my friend's dad, Mark, he just was
Shout out
like,
to Mark.
we're going to play. Okay. And we got into it, and it was probably because we lived so close, we would just play every week or something like that. I don't remember, but it dwindled. We were going into high school, and it's like you got extracurricular activities and you got stuff and things.
Dating.
I'm just
Yeah.
picturing
Hormones.
the weirdest American
What's that
Pie
like?
reboot right now. It's like before graduation, we are all gonna hit level 12.
Nice. I
Oh my god.
want to see that movie.
American
awesome.
Die.
Oh, perfect.
Tom, write it. Tom, write it.
I want that right now.
From the studio that brought you fanboys.
Oh.
Wow. There's so many.
I got it.
Yeah,
Okay,
sorry. We'll sign tangent on that another day
And then
after Tom writes it.
tabletop RPG did not show up in my life until like a couple of years ago. I had a friend that was like, "Hey, do you want to join a group with me? I want to DM." He has a friend that's this does exist, like because you said a professional DM, and he's kind of given me the layout. I'm gonna DM it, and I'd love for you to be a part of it. And it was the thing about RPGs is like, and especially like when you have those booklets, like D&D, like we can fill this whole room, like all the
With the
walls
rule
with
books.
books and whatnot. But there's other companies that create rule books, and we were doing this Savage Worlds, and it was
Dan
Beyond
is
the
like,
Mountains.
I know them all.
Beyond the Mountains of Madness, which is H.P. Lovecraft. We were doing a campaign based on that, Call of Cthulhu, and it was awesome, but it dwindled.
Died off as well.
Died off. So, but yeah, it's really cool. I had a great time.
Most RPGs don't have a series finale; they just get canceled.
Oh,
So it's true though.
it is.
But they won't have like a
true.
movie that comes out years later
No.
for fandom. Okay.
No,
Sorry, Firefly.
no, no.
Or
Name of the episode: Sorry, Firefly.
Poor baby. Oh man. So for me, I think I started in high school. Oh man, was I already LARPing then? Because
Oh,
Nerd.
you're taking a step
I was
backward
gonna say,
then.
well, I was gonna say, like, yeah, you skipped a step.
yeah, no, I used to do live
You're
action
like,
role
fuck
play.
that. I'm gonna go do it myself. Why talk about it?
Cute
Why
piece of
imagine?
paper with a dagger. I've got 2 real ones.
Oh my god! Well, made out of foam and PVC. No, I think I did do maybe one session. Like I was just like an insert character for a pre-existing game that had gone on for a long time.
Guest appearance.
Yeah, it was a guest appearance, and yeah, that was like high school, maybe early college. But yeah, so I'd only done like that game, and then I had done a Star Trek one that was like it was another guest appearance.
Wow.
While I was visiting a friend's house in Georgia, and they made it a very immersive experience. Like they turned on the 10 hours of the Star Trek ship sound
Also,
that
there's some
happens.
ambiance.
Yeah, there was some ambiance. He was wearing like a Star Trek robe, and someone had a shirt, and they had like the pins and stuff.
Fuck yeah.
So they were like trying to really like get into character, and that was my first taste of it being more real. And then, in
What are you
I
talking about?
think-
It is real.
Oh, you're right. I'm sorry. Right.
Jesus,
Reenactments.
Caitlin.
In 2013, when I first came out to California, my friends were running a game. Shout out to KG Tang.
Shout out to
He was
California.
he was our DM, and he made a wholly immersive experience. I think he actually just DM'd. He was doing like Twitch streams
Oh,
for
right,
Dungeons and Dragons. He was running a show called Dark and Dicey.
Nice.
But he's real good. He was like pre-recording messages from enemies and having different people record them. So it just wasn't just like one stock voice. Our different enemies had different voices, and every
Nice.
time you said something, they would like respond to you, and they had character specific messages too.
Wow.
Call up Joe Manganiello, man. Jesus.
I know he. Oh,
I did that a
amazing.
little bit, where like I would do different voices for the different enemies that I was DMing in our session.
Ah.
That should always be happening. I feel.
Oh, yeah.
I think you only have one.
Please.
From
deep,
now on,
gravelly
that's how you
voice.
From
do
now
our
on, that's
episodes.
how you have to play forever.
I definitely do some voices, but it's like if I'm tired, because usually it's a weekday when I'm running it, I'm just like, okay, this person says this, but I try not to do that as best as possible.
Well, of course, you want to make it the experience. Although we did get to finish our campaign.
All right.
Don't
fought-
brag. God.
Must be nice.
I am.
Must be nice.
We fought like Slenderman, basically.
Wow.
And because I am a dumb little cinnamon roll, and I say this in the most
but
affectionate
I really
way,
like cinnamon rolls.
Did you
I
go try to
can-
hug him or something?
I tried to talk to him.
Why? Numbnut?
No, I figured, maybe you just try. I was like,
Why
"Can
don't
I
you roll
try
for perception?
talking to him?" And KG literally stops and goes, "Are you serious? I mean, are you sure?" And I was like, "Yeah." She's like, "Well, you take damage."
Like a lot of damage.
Yeah.
The thing about like with RPGs is it's really it's
Explosive.
very like improv where it's like the first rule of improv is yes and.
Yeah.
You're not like, no, you can't do it's like, okay, well, this is what you do.
I got to showcase that to my friends last year during our first session when one of my players was going to shoot an arrow through a big bonfire because he thought it would look cool.
Oh, yeah.
And I said, okay, cool. The arrow now has fire damage on top of it as well. He goes, wait, really? I said, well, you just shot a wooden arrow through
fire.
fire. It's
Yeah.
going to catch on fire. He goes, I love this game. Like he was, like, that was the moment.
Nice.
Sure as fuck, yep.
Wow.
I'm not like because some people are like, some people get really into it.
Really into it.
And I think it's really
I'm
cool,
one of them.
but like what you were saying, it's like, okay, maybe it's a Tuesday night and I'm kind of tired. You
That being
don't
said,
have
Tuesday
to
night,
get into it.
definitely check out Starfinder Deepwater Deep.
That was a challenge because like I really want to do like a full on RPG thing campaign, and the one that I was doing, nobody had played before. I don't know if I left that out of the story.
Oh.
Like,
Oh.
nobody had
Yeah.
experience, and so it was like they weren't
Especially
being
you.
especially me, but like they weren't being like creative. Like they weren't throwing me any bones to
Right.
work off of. They're like, I guess I damage him. I'm like, all right, let me see. Okay. So he bounces off of a wall. So I like had to make it creative kind of, but yeah.
In a way, like tabletop RPG is kind of like traditional sports. I feel like you kind of have to play with somebody that's done it so that you get a better experience sometimes.
Yeah.
Well, I'm a pretty good baseball coach, so I mean, I could teach anyone to roll some dice.
Unless they're all
Got a good arm.
unless they're all plastered, then you can have fun either way.
Yeah, I feel like it's a big plate, to carry of just like I don't
It
know
is.
anything, they don't know anything.
I'd say at the very least, you just need an experienced DM,
Because an
and
experienced
then
DM,
that can hold it together.
So
Imagination is a muscle. You must work it.
it's true.
It is.
Work it, girl.
I also really, if I had like the means, would like I've already told people like I've designed my game room. Like I want like the Philips Hue lights that change. I want remote control for the thermostat so I can make it like
A
61 degrees. Yeah,
I should
just-
change the lights in here right now.
Yeah, exactly. Because as great as the theater of the mind can be, like
Oh yeah.
Having
to
that
have-
extra step.
yeah, it's like you can't help but be fully immersed in character. Like even if you're still flipping through your character sheet to see like what abilities you have, it's like I'm here. Like I hear water dripping in this dungeon.
Yeah.
Like again,
There even-
means. If I had the means, I'd blow
One
your
thing that
minds.
I've-
There are even candles too.
Yeah.
That
Ooh.
there's
Change.
a company that's Cantrip, I think. But they basically make the smell of like a pub, a forest,
Oh,
Dragon's Keep.
neat.
Dragon's Keep, like it, and you smell them and you're like, holy shit! Like
This-
this is
The stable.
That-
Oh god.
It's actually in a side tangent. Playing the game One Night Ultimate Werewolf, where it's like a mafia based game. Like you can use an app and it has like music and stuff like that. But for me, every time I play, I have to turn off all the lights and then light up a bunch of candles around us.
Because it's romantic.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, that-
I want to
Sounds
swim with a
romantic
bunch of my
like
guy
D&D.
friends. But yeah, and it's that kind of stuff where it's like now we're here. And
Yeah.
It's like,
Well, like I've always wanted to do like a Star Trek role playing game.
So-
Like I feel like that would be really fun.
So a bunch of HMIs behind us, and there's just lens flare everywhere.
Exactly. Lens flares. It's like imagine if you had lens flares in real life. Okay. No, but to have like your lights here, you have red lights here for our recording session. If they were to like go off during like a red alert, like,
yeah.
that would be really epic.
Hugh is getting more into like a lot more
Letting that
automation
happen.
in terms of like what you can do with it.
Yeah.
and
Well,
it's pretty
yeah,
cool.
there's a thing with Alexa. You could say like intruder alert, and then like put all the volume to 100, and then like flash red lights.
Oh man.
So there's a lot of
Yeah.
stuff you can do.
oh my god.
You
Okay,
can't, you
I
can
wanna-
change it to computer, so you could be like computer status
could.
report.
My Alexa's actually a computer.
I totally want to know if you had time to learn everything, would you rather be a DM or a player or GM?
I think I would rather be a player, or for a long while, because I haven't
Gotten
really
to experience that.
Yeah, I haven't gotten to experience that. It seems really fun. I think I would have fun coming up with like creative solutions, having fun with the dialogue with the other players. So I feel like I would want to be a player, at least at the beginning.
Just because I went to school for writing and directing, and like if I knew where the campaign was supposed to go, I would probably want to GM or DM. Just because I'm like, I want to create the narrative, I want to create the conflicts and the drama and all that shit. But also like, I want to test the mettle of my heroes and be like, let's see them get through this and all that stuff. But then it's also kind of like, let's just throw a stupid plot device in here. It's like, let's throw this weird line and all that. But again, this is saying I've never DM'd or GM'd before. But so thinking of it in that sense of like creating the story and then leading my friends, hopefully they're friends at the end of the day, through this crucible.
Good luck.
But it's kind of like, I love putting people in situations where like A or B. And then if they find a C, that's even better.
I'd
Bonus
be the
points
player
for C.
constantly trying to find the C and the D and the E. So
Yeah.
you might not want to play with me. Well, because I don't do that to mess with whoever's running the game. It's just like, yeah, I could attack, but like as much as I love huge video games and stuff like that, like you are still constrained by what the game can do.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, if I just want to like kill stuff, I'll play Skyrim. But if I want to like try to, ride on the back of an owl bear, through town, I need a tabletop game
Yeah.
for that, because
Yeah.
they don't program that kind of
True,
stuff
true.
necessarily.
There was something when I was reading up about Japanese role playing games, like video games, that one of the creators was saying that we want the video game to feel like you're driving a car. You're not necessarily focused on the car, you're just focused on driving it and the experience of driving it. So that's, I think, what you're kind of talking about is like, you're just supposed to drive the car. But like, what if you want to surf on top of the car?
Yeah.
You're
Or
not
if we're gonna go
supposed to
off
do
the
that.
road,
Yeah, off the road. Sorry, yeah.
or go
But-
in reverse.
Or that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I
Or
I
light
think
the
that's
car
what
on
we-
fire.
If you want to.
Roll for
Roll
light the
option
car on
C.
fire.
Roll
So-
for gasoline.
So Dan, are you more for GM or are you more for player?
It's a really hard question.
I know, that's why I asked.
I know. How dare you? How dare you ask
Just
the
for
hard-hitting
you.
question? I think I want to say player, but I think my ego is going to force me to say GM because I do like having the control of the narrative and, not control, but like, crafting the narrative. And it's like, yes, I'm trying to guide the players towards a story, but it's like, I also really like when they throw me a curve and it's just like, okay. Like during my last game, my players found themselves transported to a dungeon in the fairy plane, and they immediately encountered a guard and rolled really well to persuade them. So I had a giant map printed out at Staples, and I said, okay, he takes you to the throne room, and we just skipped the whole map. They're like, my players are like, oh my God, you did all this work. I said, yeah, but you rolled really well on your diplomacy check, so I'll use the map again. So
Wow.
our session ended a little early.
That's
That's
kind of the thing, though, is like the GM is in control, quote unquote, but it's really the player's story.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you might have your big main arc, but it doesn't really
And sometimes
matter.
the die do decide it. Like I've played games where it had this big conflict plan. The GM was like, "Okay, guys, people might die today," and all that kind of stuff. Because Savage Worlds is a little bit savage,
Wow.
and
huh.
Savage.
right.
it is though.
It's pretty savage. Like you're gonna get fucked up. And we had these. It happened so many times where it was this big thing that was gonna happen. And it was like, okay, roll for this or whatever, and it's like, you killed it in one shot. You lived. Fuck. I had this whole thing planned.
But then the monster's twin brother showed up, and his stats are very similar.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
You're still alive.
Or bigger monster.
Yeah. Oh
Now
no.
this is the mother.
Yeah.
It's always a bigger fish.
So Josh, GM or player?
I would want to try both.
C. You
That's-
pick C.
That's not the answer. I was
We
forced
gave
to
an
answer.
A or a
above.
B, and
All
you
of the
picked
above.
C.
Yeah, all of the above. I'd want to try both because I've been a player. I haven't been a GM, a DM.
What fascinates you more? Which role? Being
What they
part of the
both do.
journey or
Deciding the journey
Yeah.
or being a part of the journey.
All
They
right,
both
So okay,
fascinate
so if
me.
we're gonna play one right now, what are you gonna be?
I'll be a player.
There it is.
All right. I was gonna say pick a class, player or a GM, and you have to choose, and you cannot multi-class.
How about you, Caitlin? On yourself.
What as Marie Kondo would say,
Does it spark joy?
what sparks joy?
And do you want to take it with you to the future?
And do I want to take it with me into the future? I enjoy being a player more. I definitely want to try my hand at being a GM because I have I got some stories cooked up, and I'm all about the ambiance and the immersive aspect. But there are a lot of rules, and I think I would struggle at remembering all of them.
There are a lot
That's
of
why you
rules.
have to have a player who's a rules lawyer, and that way you
Yeah,
can just look to them and
The
they can
rules
tell
Nazi.
you.
the
When you're
role?
like,
You just sure look. Okay.
Yeah.
We kind of did a little bit of it, but I do want to see if anyone wants to share like their favorite moments or if they have any like outstanding moments of like, oh my God, this is it. Like the bow and the fire, like with your friend. If I could start first, it was in that same game I was telling you about that started at like 2 a.m. it was like later on after we found our way outside of the town, outside of the fog. And I was like, okay, you know what? I'm just going to go. I'm going to be the guy in the back, but I'm just going to go because like I obviously don't know what I'm doing. And then finally we get to another town. And then we have to go into this one man's house to like figure out where all the power's gone because all the power in the city's out. And one of my friends, he's really drunk at this point. He's like, you know what? I'm just going to try to beat this game, plow through it. It's like, I don't know. I don't think Charlie's going to reward us that way. And then
I don't think it works that way, dude.
because now I'm just like, I'm scared. Now I don't want to do anything. And then he's like, opens the door and it's an old man. And he's like, roll to hit him. I was like, why would you hit our old man? He hasn't done anything to us. And then he's like, he dodges, but his son comes out and it's like, son is like, 4 levels above us, like way high strength, and it's like, and then he's like, we're gonna roll to see how strong. He's like, oh well, he's like 9 times stronger than you.
Oh no!
It's like, how old is this child? And then we rolled for it, and it was like 6 years old.
Oh
and I was
my
like,
God.
Oh my god, we're getting beaten up by a like overgrown child. And so our entire team gets knocked out like right then and there. And I was like,
Wow.
why
By a
did we
child.
just ask the old man?
That's why he doesn't like kids.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh, that's it. This is the origin story of Tom hating children.
There it is.
Wow.
But I was just like, God damn. It was really sad because I think it ended the campaign for us, but it was just like, well,
Because y'all died from a 6-year-old.
because someone just Leroy Jenkins the shit out of everything. And I was like,
I guess
God
that's the opposite of a blaze of glory.
seriously. I was like, oh my God. But I was like, man, I want to play again now with actual intention to like go through and be cunning about it. But that was
Yeah.
like my favorite moment. Anyone else?
I don't have one, sadly.
Not yet.
Not yet.
I mean, I do remember it's the same. It's the one that I was talking about. It is probably my favorite moment where we were going. There were these like henchmen that we were trying to steal this manuscript of this book, and we were in this old warehouse, and there were a bunch of them, and it just worked out that only 2 of us went, and it's like, he does that thing. So only 2 of you are gonna go?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Wait. More people
do you
come.
mean?
More people come, please.
Doors closing.
And so we go to this warehouse, and I think I'm like hiding up top, and the other one's like gonna go and talk to him or whatever. And we get through it, and just our rolls were so high, and he was like, you survived.
Survived.
You didn't take any damage. Great.
Wow.
And there were like 2 of us, like, and it worked. Like sometimes your rolls
I
are
can
just
just
like,
picture the GM being like, you survive, and you and your friend both putting your arms up and going, yay.
but yeah, that was just he was just so like disappointed. Like,
All right.
So
At the
you
end of the
causing
day-
someone else disappointment is your favorite moment. Okay, cool.
yeah.
And that's when
well,
you decided you should always split the party. And it's never backfired.
Yeah.
never.
Every
Never.
horror movie ever. Dan?
I was just like trying to sift through
Yeah,
like a
all of
lot
them.
of them.
All
Like
of them.
even though I haven't been playing that long, like there's just been a lot. But I think the standout moment was probably at the end of my first session running my home game of Starfinder, because it was not only a brand new game, but it was also the first time I ever GM'd. So like I
Oh, wow.
had done like a crazy amount of prep without knowing who my players were going to, who their characters were going to be yet. So I just designed basically an all-encompassing scenario where they were on like a luxury liner ship that was going down, and they had to get across
Wow.
the ship to the escape pods. And it was good. It was a good way to like introduce some of like the beginning of the rules and stuff like that. But they made it to the escape pods because it was designed that they were going to survive this. I had a backup in case I killed everyone, accidentally on the first
Oops.
thing. Yeah. Oh, that's what the name of the word file was. It was called Oops. So they get to the escape pods, and as they're flying away from the ship, they see that the ship is being attacked by basically like the equivalent of a giant space whale with these like monstrous tentacles. And
wow.
the escape pod gets hit by one of them, and they're careening out of control. So the NPC on board activates the emergency cryo features, and they wake up crash landed on a planet. And I said, who has the lowest constitution modifier? And whoever it was, I'm like, you're the last one to wake up. And so the NPC was like, check the data. we're 3 solar systems off course.
Wow.
And 2 years have passed. And that was the end of the first session. And my players were like, what? And I was like, I felt so satisfied. I was like,
Next time.
yeah, I was like, it had to be just something that was gonna like
That's dope.
Hook
fit
'em.
whatever the characters were. And it was like, I think I hooked him like at the end of our session 0 prologue.
Wow.
I aim for kind of like big cinematic
Yeah.
stuff like that while keeping it
Yeah,
on the
yeah.
characters.
It's like the
as
basis of
much.
storytelling. So yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
The first time I made it through my first GM session, I think is my story.
Nice.
And they left, and you went, oh God.
Thankfully,
I did it.
Big aside.
yes, I mean yes. Thankfully, I had sort of like mapped out the first planet, like story wise, which was great because I didn't know how long anything was going to take. But I was like, all right, I made it through this first one. We got this.
Smooth sailing from here.
We can do it.
Caitlin?
Oh boy. I think what hooked me, because the first time I was playing with people that were like kind of drunk, kind of high, weren't super into it. Oh yeah, I was part of another thing that went for a couple sessions and then just disbanded because it wasn't
It got canceled.
gelling. Yeah, it got canceled.
That's probably the same one Josh was in.
Yeah, it was the same one. I think it was the one-off Star Trek session that really hooked me because I realized what it could be. I realized how immersive it could be and how much, like, when people actually fully dove into it, like, and the whole table's into it, there's just like that buzz going that, like, it's the same kind of feeling, kind of playing a video game, but that you're really in it. And that was what I think really got me. And it's funny that the immersiveness of that was just people pretending and a YouTube video that played on loop for 10 hours.
Nice.
But that was enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
I have one last question for Mr. Dan.
Oh, that's me.
Your character, Travis,
Yes.
is from 1998.
Yes.
He is in the Doctor Who game. He has a Game Boy,
Yes, he does.
and he has Pokemon Blue.
Yes.
But what was his starter?
Oh God, what a great question.
Wow.
Okay, I'm just going gut instinct and going Squirtle.
Okay.
Good choice.
Wow.
I was like, Blue, he's probably going to pick Squirtle. but
Yeah, I mean, just gut instinct. Like, I mean, Charmander is like my favorite of them, but I mean, Squirtle. This
Squirtle's
was good
Tom
people.
being the GM, setting up this like big question, and then you just like nailing it down immediately.
Sorry.
Him
No,
going,
that's
oh,
totally
Do
fine.
you want me to waffle for 10 minutes or so?
oh
Major choice.
man. Ooh.
In the Game Boy, preference color?
Yes. Pocket blue,
Okay.
because I had/have one and I don't know where it is. So I ordered a new one.
My sister has
eBay.
one.
Wow.
So I now have Travis's Game Boy in my possession.
That's
I do
dope.
not have a copy of Pokemon just yet.
Just
Yet.
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 Yeah.
He said with a raised eyebrow.
So immersive.
I want to ask one more question.
Oh, okay.
One more? How many one mores are we
and
gonna
it
do?
needs to be like just a quick, like, what genre it would be, or like a type of what it would be.
Oh.
If you could create your own RPG,
Yeah.
Profitable.
profitable.
That's the category.
I
I choose.
appreciate that. We could potentially box it and sell it.
Right.
Print some books of it. What would you do? Ollie, go.
Science fiction, far in the future, our own solar system.
Destiny? Okay.
There is an Expanse RPG coming out very soon that I'm very
Oh, yeah?
excited for. So there you go.
There we go. No, not Destiny.
Tom?
Uh,
Pokemon? Caitlin? No, I'm just kidding.
it would probably be a superhero thing.
Yeah.
It
Took
happened.
my answer.
Sorry.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Okay, if it helps, a DC thing.
Good. Okay, Marvel.
Because Acrobat is Batman. So.
Yeah. I think it would be cool to be like a lost kind of like on an island kind
Oh,
of
that
thing.
would be fun.
kind of an interesting
Yeah.
thing to figure out.
Then we get Joe on.
Yeah.
Megan L.
Yeah.
We find a hatch.
Oh, a hatch.
Maybe a smoke dragon
Maybe there'd
for
be
no
some
reason.
numbers. Anyway.
Previously on this question.
Nice.
Mine would probably be something to do with like reality jumping, because I'm very into that.
Oh,
so,
okay.
Like
Nice.
it
Jumping
would-
into a
it
new
would-
reality?
Huh?
Isekai stuff? Like different dimensions?
Different dimensions.
Speak English.
Yeah.
Isekai is a genre?
speak English.
Learn it. It's like haiku. It's a genre. Learn it.
But
I'm the
yeah,
uncultured one.
it would probably be like hopping through different realities and different like concepts of reality. So it wouldn't
Spider-Verse.
necessarily be. Yeah, it's kind of Spider-Verse.
Yeah, nice.
So
that help?
yeah,
Ollie?
It does.
the
Yes.
concept of Spider-Verse.
I
But
can
yes,
relate to that.
That
Nice.
would be it for me.
Now I feel complete.
I feel complete.
I feel complete.
Yeah.
What
Dan,
was your answer?
it was kind of a lost.
Oh, right.
Like,
yeah, I heard you say
Island.
that. Sorry. You can edit this part
Everyone's
out.
Wolverine. They all have amnesia.
Yeah.
There's a writer's strike halfway through the campaign.
Yeah.
Yeah. Got it.
Dan, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. This was a blast.
Do you have anything in particular that you want to plug?
Yes, I do. This
Give
is
a
gonna
little
be
shout out
this is
too.
just totally shameless. So,
Do it.
like I said
Please.
before, Tuesday nights, twitch.tv/officialpaizo, starting 7:30 p.m. Pacific time. That's Starfinder, Deepwater Deep. Then every other Wednesday is new episodes of the Game of Rassilon, available on all services. Additionally, if you are going to be in the Los Angeles area and are going to Gallifrey 1 on Friday, February 15th, 2019, that's when we'll be doing the live Game of Rassilon at 7 p.m. Again, it will be the cast of the show, but it will not be in continuity of the show. So you don't have to have listened to the episodes beforehand, but we'd love if you did.
It's fun. Yeah.
Nice.
Give
We'll
you a
link
little
that. We'll link that
context.
stuff down in our show notes and all that good
Linkity
stuff for
links.
people.
Everybody at home, thank you so much for listening. I know that we talk about Patreon all the time and how it supports our show, but you listening to the show supports our show as well. Those
Yeah.
that share the show with your friends, your families, your enemies, however you do it.
Like us on all the things. Give
like
us
us
a
on
review, rate.
Yeah.
Literally every interaction helps.
Yeah.
So, and we appreciate the fact that you listened to this episode because that helps.
Wherever you're doing it from.
Slipping slant to our DMs and asking me about comic books. I like that shit.
If you are new to
Puts his
Nerd
nerd
On,
on.
you can check us out on nerdon.tv. That is our website. Has all of the linky links. All the episodes are there. All of the stuff is there. One thing that is new is our newsletter. It goes out once a month, and it's yeah. What did you
Sign
call
up
it?
now.
What did you call it?
Well, yeah, we can really reveal that kind of. It's the Nerd On Dispatch.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be our monthly. It's a little peek behind what you know. People are busy. Life happens, and you would like a
one-stop
If you would
shop
like a
for
one-stop
everything
shop,
Nerd On.
yeah, to catch up on everything we've done that month, so you can catch up on some content.
Last month we did a lot.
We did a lot.
We had
Delivered-
5 bonus episodes
Yeah, a
alone
lot.
for Patreon.
Delivered right to your nice little inbox.
Imagine it like back in the 90s when you had TV guides.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
It's
Yeah.
a Nerd on TV guide. We
Nerd
should
on
have called
TV
it
guide.
that.
We should have probably called it that.
We also have another podcast, Trope Time. It is the first Monday of every month, hosted by our friends Izzy and Nikki. But yeah, again, thank you so much. Everybody
Dan.
at home,
Thank you.
yes, thank you so much for joining us, taking the time. As always,
Nerd On.
Yeah.
You did it.
I did it.
Ending broadcast.